It's Ben Kentish, who will be part of that Downing Street news conference, which you'll hear live and in full here on LBC. It starts normally just after 5 o'clock, so make sure you're with us for that. They do something similar in the United States. Well, not so much similar as completely different. Reporting live, LBC's US correspondent Simon Marks.
Eddie, we are at the end of another very grim week here in the United States. 16,500 deaths now across America as a result of coronavirus, and there is every indication that there are several more grim weeks to come. But consider this. New York State doesn't just lead the rest of the United States in terms of coronavirus cases. It now leads every other country in the world. One American state, the epicenter now globally for coronavirus, and with more deaths than the mortuaries and undertakers can handle.
Definitely a backlog when it comes to being able to take a deceased into the care of the funeral home.
That's Mike Lanotti. He heads the New York State Funeral Directors Association.
And if the funeral director is not able to make arrangements to take the loved one into their care, then they are going to be burying them on Hart Island. So, obviously, I'm sure it was a very difficult decision. Now,
burying them on Hart Island in the Bronx is a bit of a euphemism. Those coffins and corpses are being placed into mass graves. Haunting footage taken by a video camera placed on a drone shows workers in hazmat suits lining wooden coffins up and burying them one on top of another in a trench on the island. The site of mass graves, a stone's throw from the gleaming skyscrapers of Manhattan, is deeply unnerving to the American psyche, like the pictures of hospital workers protecting themselves with bin liners a few days ago because there were no more protective robes available. But to listen to Donald Trump over the last 3 weeks is to listen to a man absolutely determined that when this crisis is all over, he won't be accepting any blame. Time and again, he has insisted that he's just a bit player in this drama. It's the individual governors of America's 50 states who should have been better prepared for COVID-19's onslaught.
We're a backup. We're not an ordering clerk. We're a backup. And we've done an unbelievable job. Like, for instance, who ever heard of a governor calling up, "Sir, can you build us a hospital of 2,500 rooms?" And we built it. "Can you build us 4 medical centers?" We built it. "Can you deliver a ship? A hospital ship with 1,000 rooms?" And we did it. And we did it in Los Angeles, too. But we're a backup.
Just a backup. Imagine if George W. Bush had said that to the authorities in New York after the attacks of September the 11th, 2001. Or if FDR had responded to Pearl Harbor with a shrug of the shoulders and a message to Churchill that really the governor of Hawaii should have been better prepared. But this is deliberate strategy. Donald Trump doesn't want to own the crisis because he doesn't want to carry the can for his government's abject failure to protect members of the public. And so for a month now, he has refused to accede to calls from his own public health advisors for the national lockdown that virtually every other country has implemented.
It was something that... And I've looked at him very carefully. I looked at him today, looked at him yesterday. From a constitutional standpoint, I'd love not to get involved with that. And not from a legal standpoint, just from a moral, constitutional standpoint. Because legally, I can. But morally, I believe in our Constitution, much more so than most people. And I'd love to be able to let the governors do what they have to do.
But at least he's got compassion and sympathy for the dead and their families, right? Well, maybe not. Here he was yesterday talking about what he always calls a horrible word: death.
We're looking at a much lower level than the level of, I hope, than the level of 100,000. So we're going to see. We're going to have to, you can never do anything about the people that lost their loved ones and lost their friends, and the great friendships. And I'm not sure a lot of people will ever be the same, but I think our country, from an economic standpoint, will end up being stronger than ever.
Now, just to be factual, presidents can do something about the people who lost their loved ones and their friends. A president could pay tribute to them by ordering flags all over the country to be flown at half-mast. He could declare a day of national mourning. He could even say that a rebuilt economy will be an insufficient tribute to them. He hasn't done any of that. Instead, today, the president was once again tweeting about his approval rating among Republicans and the television ratings for his daily coronavirus briefings. He's almost as obsessed about those as he is about the entirely unproven utility of hydroxychloroquine, an anti-malaria drug that he relentlessly touts as a cure for coronavirus. What explains it? Well, it's all part of a new conversation on the right in American politics, embodied this week in a radio appearance by Bill O'Reilly. He was once one of President Trump's favourite TV hosts until his career was derailed by the Me Too movement. Here he is yesterday talking to another Trump favourite, Fox News host Sean Hannity.
The projections, as you just mentioned, are down to 60,000. I don't think it'll be that high. 13,000 dead now in the USA. Many people who are dying both here and around the world were on their last legs anyway, and I don't want to sound callous about that.
Oh, you're going to get hold on. You're going to get hammered for that.
I mean, the simple man tells the truth.
In what world do we find ourselves now on this side of the Atlantic? A country that increasingly has lost its moorings, left basic human decency on the sidelines, as 50 governors of widely varying intellectual and political abilities are told, "You're in charge," by the man who is supposed to be in charge. The buck stops here, said the sign that President Harry Truman placed on his Oval Office desk. Not anymore, it doesn't, Eddie. Not anymore.
Simon Marks reporting.